President Zelenskyy was in fact asked in an interview with Fox News that India and China are contributing to the Ukraine war and what he has to say about that. And he responded stating that India is mostly on their side. He states that they do have problems on energy, but those can be managed. Europe must build strong ties with India. He states that they must not withdraw from the Indians. Listen in.
Iran will never be on our side because we'll never be on the side of the United States. I think India mostly with us. Yes, we had these questions with energy, but I think that President Trump can manage it with Europeans, make more close and strong relations with India. And I think we have to do everything not to withdraw Indians, and they will change their attitude to Russian energy sector, I'm sure. With China, it's more difficult because it's not, for today, it's not in their interest to not to support Russia.
Okay, interesting perspective there. Alison Matla, I want to know, what your thoughts are on the same as well, because here we have President of the United States of America who stood before the world and blamed the Russia-Ukraine war squarely on India and China once again. He said that before the SCO summit, when the summit happened, and we thought that his stance towards India particularly has softened, but he said it once again. However, Zelenskyy there taking a more balanced approach as far as his thoughts on India are concerned. He's sending out a message to Europe even that don't move away from India. Don't make that mistake. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. I think Trump seemed, to be honest, very amateur, the SCO summit. And I think it was very hard for him because he realized that the global there was a shift globally strategically to the east that automatically made America and of course Europe weaker, and he realized that, so he looks at China, which is he sees as a big rival, Russia, which is he's playing in a very careful way, and then India, and he probably realized that the tariffs were to his detriment. And India is seen as a very in Europe as a very pragmatic player, and Zelenskyy has seized on this. He knows he can't rely on China, or Russia obviously invaded Ukraine. So I think he's appealing, reaching out to India, which is a big, it's becoming a very major global power, and he's reaching out to it and showing Europe, which is shrinking in size of its geostrategic importance, and saying, well, we can't be friends, well, we don't trust China. But we can do business with India. I think, Europe, the US realizes there is a shift in the global power to the east, and therefore needs partners in that part of the world. And India, to me, as a European, seems the obvious choice.
Okay, Ravi Karkara, your thoughts on the same as well. Zelenskyy there being very cautious in what he says about India. In fact, he's gone ahead and said India is mostly on their side as far as war is concerned. And truly, India has always said, let's maintain peace. That's what India has said, that we're ready to, in fact, do what we can to broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine as well, if they want our involvement. But India has at no point said that it openly supports either Ukraine or Russia as far as the war is concerned. Your thoughts?
Absolutely, and I think Alison is absolutely spot on. She's absolutely correct because, and I think we've heard statements from India very clearly. We are on the side of the peace. They've always maintained that from day one to now. And I think if you're in a place of Zelenskyy, right, you've lost millions of people. You have in cities which are totally decimated. Your entire economy, Ukraine before this war was seen as a breadbasket, not only for Europe, of the world. It was supplying wheat, sunflower, and I work on AI and food too, right? And look at where is Ukraine today? And before the war, India was exporting pharmaceuticals. We had students studying medicine in Ukraine. It's a very great civilization. So at this point, when you've seen the NATO and you've seen EU not really being able to broker some kind of a negotiation, you were hoping that US will come in after the Democrats have gone and say that, okay, let's get on to the peace. And we saw the fiasco that happened at the White House at the beginning, and later they tried to correct it. You saw about 6 weeks ago, right? But today, the only world leader, just to underline what Alison said, India is not the India of 2014. You have a world leader who convened a G20, which was never convened the way it was convened by a global South leader. It changed everything, right? So on that note, just to say that I really feel that from a geopolitics perspective, the only person who can really bring parties together and convene a dialogue and get some kind of resolution that President Zelensky knows and President Putin knows is Prime Minister Modi. And making all these long, you saw the statement yesterday. I don't know if you, with General Assembly, 7 wars have been settled. Some of them, yes, you definitely take the credit, but you just cannot take on credit for wars which continue to date. And then in the same realm, you're having a conversation with Asif Munir. I mean, what do I say? I mean, this is full of contradictions. We have never seen any heads of state being, I would say, at this point, I would use the word irresponsible. And that is the situation that we are seeing. Many of us who worked very hard on strengthening India-US relationship, and I've said this on your show before, we were euphoric in February. In September, we are more than worried right now because it has gone to a level where people are really wondering. We have decided a lot of investments that were supposed to come from India to US, they're on a pause. Just not American investment to India, the other way, because people are not sure whether they want to set up a plant in Texas or they want to set up something in New Mexico because everybody's waiting to watch. Because if they bring in their technology, will that really yield the results they want? So and that's what I'm saying. You will see that, the stock market will see an impact. It's a matter of time. It's really a fluff right now. That's what I call the $36 trillion economy. It's a fluff, and I think Elon Musk said that multiple times, right? So just to conclude and say that Zelensky knows very well that, and Ukraine and India always had a very good relationship, and India never took any side except the side of the peace, saying that we need. I mean, you can imagine a world leader going through this for 3 years. How much battering can a country take? And this is where I think we really hope that there is resolution. I really hope that Prime Minister Modi plays a very critical role at this point, bringing together Russia and Ukraine. And I'm sure even NATO, and the EU is working very hard on the FTA with India. They will have to come and say, we want to look at the side and find a resolution to this. Similarly with the Middle East, similarly with Israel and Palestine. People are saying, and I always ask the people who's benefiting out of this conflict. Which are the arm producing companies which are supplying arms, and which American Republican Democrat politicians are having the shares of these companies or are sitting on the board. Just do that, an open discussion, or just do that investigation. You'll find many answers of why the world has so many different wars. Thank you.
Okay, all right.